Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today's topic is on loving yourself. What does this really mean? There is so much talk and discussion on this topic of love, and so many books and novels and movies and discussions and talk shows and television programs on this topic of love, and then this now extra thing, this loving yourself, loving myself. And even though all these discussions and talks and information goes on, have we come truly any closer to that experience? Do we actually truly know what it means or what it is that we want to experience or achieve by that? And one reason, personally, I'm extremely interested in spiritual wisdom and meditation practices is because it shines light on these topics that are usually so casually mentioned without any proper research or personal experimentation. Because actually, loving myself, one thing, but maybe we should start with knowing self. And maybe we will discover, if we truly know ourselves, that love will be natural, appreciation or respect for self will become natural if we truly know ourselves. And the whole area of spiritual studies or spiritual practices and meditation, it focuses on this central point. Who truly is self? Who truly am I? And what is the relationship between myself and my surroundings? How do I interact? How I relate to this world and this world of matter? And it is good to become a bit more reflective and shift the attention away from all the external things to explore and discover who is the self. Many times when we use this word I, what is it that we think of? We think of this physical form, we think of the gender or the social or ethnical background, or the people around me. I am the daughter of so-and-so, or I am the wife of so-and-so, or I am the one who is having this certain profession and I live in a certain place. But all of these things are very external descriptions. And even if I say my name and address and my education and my ethnic and cultural background, do you know truly who I am and what I am? You might not even be aware of what I think or how I feel or what my deeper habits are or structures. Even the people who I live with, they might not even truly be aware of what is going on inside me and how my true feelings are. And I might not be truly aware of others. What I just see is my projection on them of my ideas or my interpretations of their behavior. And all of these games go on in our relationships and interactions. And then we try to love someone else, try to love ourselves. Well, we're entangled in all these projections and interpretations of behaviors. Spirituality says we need to go much deeper. We need to go beyond behaviors, patterns. We need to go beyond thought patterns and habits that are manifested, and go back to the being, the one who is experiencing, the one who is expressing, the one who gives life to this body. Before all the socializations took place, that being who has the power to think, that being of consciousness. Who is that being of consciousness? The soul, the one who is like an invisible presence in this body. And where does that being, the soul, the real self, come from? And what is as if the innate qualities and the innate potential with which we have come, even in this body, with which we have come on this planet? The soul. And we judge ourselves based on the role, the acquired habits and tendencies and learned behaviors and learned ideas that we usually get when we are born, and we get from our upbringing and our surroundings. And then there is some physical personality. But that is not the true self. The real self is spirit. The real self is soul. An invisible being of consciousness, an invisible experiencer, one who has come from another dimension, the spiritual dimension or the soul world. Come as a traveler, as an observer, associates with a body, plays the part of human life, and at the end of the journey, which not necessarily is just one birth, but at the end of the journey, the being, the soul, goes back to the soul world. A being who belongs to the Supreme Soul, a being who has as if God's DNA, divine potential. That is the real self. And more we come to know and come to understand the real self, what is there not to love? A being who is immortal, a being who is innately free and playful and joyful and loving, lovable, lovely. A refined being, innately royal, belonging to the Supreme, and in its innate tendencies like the Supreme. The problem is that has become blocked. We ourselves have forgotten who we truly are. And we started to identify with some reflection or some external behavior pattern or some identities based on bodily existence, which is temporary and which changes. So loving myself is actually a bit of a very limiting statement. It is much more important. Know the self. Truly knowing the self, love will come. Natural. We are innately beings made of love, made of peace. It is like a prince who started to believe, started to be convinced that he is a beggar. And so he will behave like a beggar. He will interact with others from that mindset of a beggar. But the reality is prince, but he is forgotten. And then that behavior is not visible. those feelings are not there. Here also, souls are beings of peace, beings of love, beings that are free and beings who are immortal. But because we identify with the physical appearance and the position, the possession, the people around, we come into limited. And then all those refined feelings are lost. We ourselves, we've forgotten who we truly are. Spiritual amnesia. And then we try to love ourselves, love directed to something that I am not. And that cannot work for long because it changes all the time and it is temporary. So let us explore. In meditation, that is what you do. Explore the true self, the real inner being, the higher being. And then allow the feelings of appreciation to emerge naturally. So let's take a few minutes and just take a deep breath and try as if step back beyond. Come into that awareness that we exist as beings of consciousness, silent observers, souls, operating this body as if from the center of the forehead, behind the eyes. Body is the vehicle. The real self is this invisible spiritual being. And we can use this image of light, tiny star, who is alive, neatly refined in nature, a being of peace, a being who is complete, a being who belongs to God, child of God, and carries the potential of God's qualities: peace, wisdom, power, love. Let us get in touch with that again. And don't let this acquired ego and attachment and greed and anger block that. Come out of that ignorance of identifying and getting attached with some perishable things. Drop the ego. Free, timeless, living, immortal being of light. And even though this is a meditation, and you sit down, you take your time, but this is your reality and your truth always. So let us aim to have this awareness with open eyes whenever we do whatever we do during the day. This living light, this spiritual being, for a temporary period using this body, playing a part. Come back to that innocent, that almost like spiritually childlike state, pure, loving, imperishable and fearless, living light. Om Shanti. These words are actually an introduction of the self. Om means I am a soul, a spiritual being, invisible. Shanti means peace. We are beings who are spiritual and made of peace. Have a good day.